Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you on a Sunday evening after Game 3 between the Celtics and the Heat. Somebody had commented, I think it was Dave Dufour, friend of the breakdown, best friend of the breakdown, had said, pretty ballsy to have a Game 3 after a Saturday night in Miami, potentially for the visiting team in the Celtics. And it certainly looked like they might have had a little too much fun last night. I am pissed. I am upset. But either way, I want to before I even get to that part, we got to introduce Combo. Combo, as always, is joining me, Andrew Combo South. Thank you for being here. Combo, I'll give you the floor for a second here. What are your thoughts after this debacle?
I mean, I guess we could just sit here and talk about how bad the Celtics are, but that would be too easy, right? I mean, I thought Bam had great energy. Jimmy was Jimmy, even though the stat line didn't look crazy. Obviously, Gabe Vincent had a game. Duncan's been playing better. And they're just playing Miami Heat basketball. And as I always said, I think they have the best coaching staff in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, if you needed proof, or if you weren't sure before this playoffs, stretch, then there was no question. Now, here's the thing about Gabe Vincent obviously lit it up. I mean, he barely missed, and a couple of those threes. He had actually one where he rejected the screen, or it kind of pivoted around, and then Smart got all. The problem with Smart is he almost tries too hard, so he gets into weird positions where he was stuck half falling over the screen. And even though he recovered, it's an open shot. He had a good look for a dribble and a half, and then releases it and splashes. That's not that tough when you really think about it. Especially the way we know the Heat train. Those guys are taking the shots exactly the way they're going to get in the games. It could have been worse, by the way. There were shots that the Heat generated out of their offense, man, that were they missed, that were so open. They didn't have Kevin Love. I don't know. Did they ever say what happened to him?
Not that I heard.
Yeah, they were. I think they were thinking maybe it was his back. It certainly looked like either in my mind, what he did, it was either a really bad muscle strain or something like that, but it wasn't a knee, it wasn't ankle, something was weird. And he went off that shot after the guy dove by him, off of a 1 foot. It was strange, off the right foot going to your right. That didn't make any sense to me, even on that end. It clearly was related to something injured. So you're losing your starter who plays 5 minutes and actually to hit a three and another bucket and was looking pretty good. And they still just completely destroy them. 18 points off the bench for Martin, for Cody Martin. These guys are really coming into their own. They're believing it. And, when you watch the video I did with Doc and losing all those game sevens, there's a reason why the Celtics, for instance, are completely falling apart, right? A lot of it has to do with the lack of development, perhaps. The issues we're seeing with both Brown and Tatum have not resolved from last year or the year before that. Their issues with driving to the basket and not being able to handle the ball on the way there is really a problem. And the teams are loading up and stripping as much as they can, and they're just giving them the ball. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I mean, and there is also a thing that there is some redundancy in their skill sets, right? I think Jaylen Brown should be somewhere else, and I think he becomes a better player somewhere else. That's just my thoughts on it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard because you watch a guy like Jason Tatum, for instance, who is an all-star, all-NBA, can score 30 a game, but there's holes in his game, and there's a problem. He dribbles with his eyes down, and he can't see a lot of times the defense or even the rim before it's too late. Jaylen Brown, I kind of thought had cleaned it up a little bit last year. They both did a little bit. But this year, we're seeing all sorts of weird stuff with gathers in the lane where Tatum looks like he's trying to draw a foul in that Harden way. So he's kind of getting the ball out away from him, and they're just knocking the ball away. He's fumbling dribbles way too often, which has been his issue a lot. And you can't rely on the road when you need guys like that to be able to at least handle the ball properly. That's a real problem. Meanwhile, then we had the Marcus Smart experience again. And, I thought that we had put it to bed. I felt better about him last year. They'd gotten to the finals. It seemed like there was some solidification of his game, but it hasn't. He still does the same stuff that is just mind-bogglingly suboptimal. He doesn't live up to his last name. And that's another problem. That's another ceiling that you have, I think, when you have him on your team playing and relying on him.
Yeah, I always said, Jason Tatum has that type of game that seems like it was built in a skill development lab. Yeah. And I think we're seeing more and more players like that. You mentioned the fumbling in the lane. I feel like this season his game has been more analytically driven. Like he kind of got away from his mid-range stuff, and it's all threes into the rim and drawing fouls, kind of like the Harden Morey ball in a way. So, yeah, I mean, I've never been the biggest Tatum guy. Obviously, he's a great player. And also the other thing with him is he's not consistent. Like we're seeing when your team's best players are very consistent, what that does. We see it in Denver and we see it with the Heat. And we haven't been seeing that with the Celtics.
Right. And like Tatum has had in the last series, he had a couple of, or at least that one game, he came through at the very end, but you don't normally see a star like that look so shaky like that for almost the entire game. And we had some more of that in this series as well. So it was really, I'm angry. I'm angry that a team would show up like that in a must-win game and not compete, really. The game was over after 3 quarters, and it's frustrating. Especially because we have to talk about the coach a little bit, but let's get to the some super chats first, because remember, if you want your question asked, the best way to do that, or answered, excuse me, is to do a super chat on YouTube. It keeps us going. It really helps us continue the show, and we'll give you a lot of love and a lot of hype. So thank you so much for everybody out there that's contributing. And what's up, everybody? We got Starscream out there ready to go, and Martin Jose, a lot of these, the friend of the breakdowns out there. So let's get to the first super chat here, because let's see here. Oh, actually, I have one. It's listed here. Is it a super chat from Starscream? Where is it? Where did he go? Well, let me get the first one I see here. Oh, well, Starscream is saying it was an ankle injury for Love. Ankle? That's weird. He wasn't walking like it was an ankle injury, but okay. With Andrew Zhu, best friend of the breakdown. Thank you, Andrew, for being here. He asks, Nuggets Heat a mismatch. Are we ready to get to the Nuggets Heat preview? I suppose we should, since we have this super chat. What do you think? Let's do one for a couple minutes, and we'll get back.
What would you say the percentage now for that to happen?
It's very. I mean, we might have double sweeps at this point. So I'm thinking that it's 90% guaranteed.
Oh, 90? That's low, Coach Nick. Really?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That high?
All right, fine. 100. We're gonna have that. That's the matchup. So, and is it a mismatch? Because, who the heck is gonna guard Jokic on Miami? Is it Bam was gonna have to try?
The problem with Bam guarding him is that you have nothing in help side if Bam guards him.
If Love is completely healthy, maybe you throw him out there.
Yeah, he has some length. He's not a defensive prowess. He doesn't have a lot of defensive prowess.
But Love doesn't have length. I mean, he's got short arms, doesn't he?
I mean, length compared to Max Strus and Caleb Martin, and those guys are good defenders, but in help side,
I think he's got girth. I think he's got he's got some padding.
Well, I was talking about being a disruptor in help side. Like who is that going to be if Bam is on Jokic?
Yeah. So you can see what they're trying to do with like Rui, and then have AD off of him. You could do like Love on him, and then have Bam wandering a little bit around to try and disrupt Jokic that way. That's interesting to me. But if there is a coach that's going to keep Jokic guessing, then it's Spoelstra. He'll be able to throw some zone. They'll be able to do some mismatch stuff there, and maybe like lure him into doing some things they don't want to do. We've seen Jokic be a little bit uncomfortable against the Lakers and make a couple of decisions that aren't great. We've seen him get a little disrupted where he misses a couple of those runners, which he never misses. He's like, I think, the best floater shooter in the league. So, there are possibilities here where they could make him uncomfortable, but that would probably be the biggest issue. I'd have to see if you can't. Because again, you got to try and contain Jokic, and then you're helping, and then you're giving up, stuff, and you got to hope that Murray doesn't hit a lot of threes, and then so forth down the line.
Yeah, I think Jokic has gotten somewhat disrupted. His fourth quarter was a masterclass when he was going 5-1 pick and roll with Jamal Murray. That was phenomenal. But I see what you're saying. He does get disruptive sometimes when pretty much what I was saying before, like Anthony Davis is at help side because like Rui is guarding him, right? That's why part of the reason why Anthony's not guarding him. So there's just not as many bodies with the Heat. But look, man, how could you doubt the Heat at this point? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a mismatch from what we're seeing. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I know. Because again, at this point, like, does Martin come back down to earth? Does Gabe Vincent come back down to earth and actually play like we kind of are used to seeing them play?
Well, we're saying that every series, right?
Yeah. And when you get the glow in the playoffs, it can last for a while. And, that's kind of why you were thinking maybe the Celtics would get that. They've been there. They've done this. They know what it's like to get to the finals. And I kind of, okay, I'm going to do a video maybe right when I think we're going to have some days off here, right? If the series ends early. And of course, I'm going to be out of town next weekend. But I think before that, we might have a day or two off. I'm going to do a video on the Celtics and tell you the difference, because offensively, there's a huge difference, I think, between last year's Celtics. And remember, the Celtics, the way they're playing now, is a lot like they played the first half of last season. So if you haven't forgotten, you might have forgotten, they were very much a 500 team in the first half of the year. And then Ime or something happened, and we never quite got a great answer. But the offense came alive where they were getting, remember all that great middle drives and kicks and swing passes and skip passes? There was so much more of that really opened up things, and I think probably made people happier, on offense, and made people, more energetic on defense because the ball was moving more. None of that happens now. And as a result, I think that's a big difference. So at the very least, I know I can go and grab a lot of those clips from then and show you what's happening now. And then, again, we can certainly show you the same thing as far as development. I would have expected Tatum and Brown to have cleaned up the things that were a problem last year that hurt them and ultimately led to them losing the finals. And it's not better. It might be worse at this point. So let's get to the next super chat. We've got Rich X Wolf. Thank you so much, Rich. Is Joe gone after this, and are JB worth the money? So I had written, I think, after game one that if the series is over in 5, then Missoula's probably, they're going to fire him. I think they're going to realize this probably just wasn't, he's young and inexperienced. It wasn't really his thing.
Who doesn't get fired in the NBA as a head coach? It's very rare. Right. I mean, like, who is it? Spo and Kerr and Popovich. Everybody else is going to get fired at some point.
Yeah, but nobody gets fired after 1 year.
I mean, if they get swept.
Yeah. I said 5. So I would think, certainly 4, would be a thing. But and there was just evidence throughout the whole thing that there's, issues with lineups, issues with adjustments. So
timeouts, right?
Timeouts. I got to look at that. I was always like Phil Jackson guy who, like, he didn't call timeouts, let him figure it out. I don't mind that. But at the playoffs, Phil actually would still call them appropriately, knowing how important those games tended to be, and they needed some guidance. But certainly the way that they're guarding Jimmy Butler is so freaking frustrating. And I tweeted it out earlier. I said, does Jason Tatum have some sort of an allergy to him? Of course, as soon as I say that, he's now guarding him in the backcourt. But then they come up and they set a screen on him, and there's not even any contact, and they just switch. And then Robert Williams has to guard him all of a sudden on an island. It was like, at least tell him to fight through it. Try it. You don't have to switch that easily. That was horrible. So, because I think the only guy that really has size enough to guard Jimmy would be Tatum. He's the guy that, those mid-range pull-ups, if he gets a hand up and he's long, that could affect Jimmy. Derek White's not going to affect Jimmy, Now, by the way, Robert Williams hasn't affected him either, but man, is his effort terrible on those. I think it's terrible on his contests, so many of the mid-range shots that Jimmy's been making over him.
The underrated part about Jimmy's game that a lot of people don't talk about is how much he wears on you over the course of the series. So I think maybe they don't want Tatum on somebody that'll wear you down being their best offensive player. I don't know. That could be it.
By the way, that makes sense, but not when you're down 2-0 on the road. I mean, at that point, you have to do something else. And you know what? Take a little break on offense, a couple of possessions. Give us some more D. We've seen him do it. I've seen him be really great on defense last year, too. Another big difference is that he's not doing any of that this year. And my memory right now, in my mind's eye, I can picture him balling out. And I know I was texting people last year during the playoffs saying, God, Tatum's really like making plays on defense, which I hadn't really seen too much of. So again, very, very frustrating performance. I think that maybe Brown is injured. There's something really wrong with him. He looks off. And he did have one drive where he evaded the charge by Zeller and then laid it in. And, I think he was even complaining there wasn't a foul there. But that to me was like, oh, okay, he's moving fine. Because if I hadn't seen that little nugget, then I'd be like, there's something wrong or something hurt with him that he's airballing threes. He looks tentative. Something's going on. And that's, again, where the coach could come in if there's no like serious injury issue, which no one seems to know about. So are JT and JB worth all the money? They put up the numbers. They win the games. They have the evidence to back them up in the regular season. But yeah, I don't know what you're going to do, but are you going to find better wings than that? I mean, you got to pay a premium to have those guys, and there's not that many guys better than them, right?
No, no. I mean, they're two top wings in the league. So, yeah, I mean, I think they're worth their contracts. I don't think they're overpaid, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we got some more super chats to get to, so let's scroll down here.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention something. So,
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown did cut his hand at one point, and I don't know if that has something to do with
Oh
it.
yeah, it was a shooting hand, right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, all right, that could be something. Starscream just want to put it up there. Membership milestone. Thank you so much. That's amazing. But let's see here. Let's get to Martin Jose, best friend of the breakdown. Thank you, Martin. Jimmy Butler is a superstar and got unlimited stamina. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole thing about the Heat and how they train cardio wise. And I can't doubt it. They don't seem to have any problems, which again will be a benefit for them in Denver, right? In theory, maybe the altitude won't affect them. I was in Denver all weekend. It was affecting me. My legs were getting a little weak walking around.
Imagine playing a playoff game.
Yeah, I know. I can't. So, I'm really intrigued. I mean, because at this point, who guards Butler then for Denver?
Aaron Gordon, I would go with.
Ooh.
I mean, he's been struggling on the offensive side a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's been losing some minutes because of it, actually.
Yeah.
But I mean, physicality wise, he gives you your best chance.
I like that. I like that a lot because you don't want to wear out Murray. Let me think of the rest of the starting lineup. Let's see, Murray, Jokic, Gordon, MPJ. I mean, MPJ, yeah. MPJ's got again. What I like for Butler is a guy who's taller than him. It's longer and taller than him. I think is your only hope. He probably would have used MPJ, but it's possible if he does settle for a couple of those mid-range pull-ups. Maybe Porter Jr. could affect those a little bit better than like Derek White, for instance, in that comparison. So there's something there. And then wait, who's the fifth starter?
Also, Jeff Green could throw some good minutes at him.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he's a vet. He's got some ability. He's still got some athletic ability left. So they have, but I like that. I think Gordon would be the guy they're going to start out on and find out. But again, it's real easy for Butler to hunt, the matchup he wants and force switches. So I think the Nuggets are going to have to be a little bit tougher on getting around those ball screens to avoid switching if they can in the beginning. And then we'll see how that works. But it should be a really good chess match. And Mike Malone, is a really good coach too. There should be some good things to analyze there from the coaching standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, two great coaching staffs. Spo obviously has the experience. It's going to be interesting to see who goes zone and who doesn't. I think that's going to be an interesting factor in all this. And, I would assume Denver would be the favorites, right? I think I would have Denver in that series. Yeah,
I mean, they have home court, and that's probably going to be the big deciding factor. But I would imagine that it'll go 6 at least, Fun. I don't know. Is anybody going to watch it is the question.
We'll watch it, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried. I don't know about the ratings. I think the ratings haven't been great so far. I think the Warriors-Lakers ratings were good, but I don't know what we're getting right now. And part of me worries about that because if you look at have you noticed this? Have you looked at the commercials that are playing during the games for you?
Well, yeah, they're Giannis, and who else is in there? I mean, they have a Tatum potato chip commercial, right?
Yeah, but some of them they sneak through there are kind of like low budget looking commercials that it makes me wonder like how much was that spot that they had to pay to get that in there, because if they've lowered the rates because the ratings are down, you know what I mean, that's bad. So I'm worried about that a little bit. I mean, I remember maybe last round.
Did you see like a local Denver cardio?
Yeah, it was something. It was some local whatever. It looked like it cost like a few $1,000 to make the damn video. The commercial was weird. Anyway, let's catch up on some super chats. We have Southern Ignorance, which I can't even quite figure out what the reference is on that one. But hey, thank you so much for the super chat. What do you think about the refs' calls? Tony Brothers is not a good ref, and he'll probably be in the finals, and I'm troubled by him. But they had one that I was so livid. Again, I'm livid. I had missed a lot of the game on Friday. My plane was freaking delayed 5 hours. It was going to be perfect to watch the whole game. So I watched the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter on my phone and the Uber on the way to the hotel. And to see, by the way, the Celtics just melt down mentally. Again, it adds more credence to my video I did about Doc Rivers and why his teams keep melting down, because there's something about the way you coach that you can help avoid that, help get your players out of that meltdown mode. And it's not happening. It didn't happen here. But let's get back to refs calls. So I got really, really pissed because Jimmy Butler missed a free throw and Marcus Smart steps in 3 seconds early. Now, you'll see NBA players do that, and they don't get it called as a violation because the free throw goes in. If it goes in, whatever. They don't know. They play on. But when it misses, they're supposed to blow the whistle and give the guy the free throw. Do you remember this? You know this when this happened in the first half?
Which game?
This game tonight.
Explain. Tell me more.
So basically, Butler just missed a free throw. Do I have the timestamp on here? I probably can't see the damn. I was having trouble framing. I'm having trouble these days framing the clock in my framing for some reason. I can't see, but it was going to the left in the first half. Butler misses the second free throw, and it was it's Grant Williams. Sorry, Grant Williams steps in way early.
Okay.
And it was like, what are you doing? Like that was, I mean, like it had no bearing on anything, but like when you miss one like that, other than that, I don't know. The refs, it got so loose so quickly that the refereeing wasn't going to matter. I think. Do you agree?
Yeah, I actually saw a lot of questionable calls favoring the Lakers. I'm not like the ref guy. Like I'm not that like even as a player, I never really complained about the refs much.
Lakers, you mean?
Yeah, no, I meant the Lakers. Like it felt like they were trying to keep the Lakers in the game.
Oh,
when I was watching yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was watching yesterday. I mean, it evened out a little bit in the fourth quarter. Denver got some favorable calls, but it didn't look too good in my opinion. I mean, I don't know if we should talk about this on this live show, but do you think refs try to extend series for the benefit of themselves and the league?
Well, here's the thing. Like, if that really was a thing, then why would we ever have a sweep? Right? What are you playing with your mic? What's going on?
No,
here?
it fell and I caught it. That's amazing.
Oh, wow. To me, it really quickly looked like you snatched it off of there. All right. Well, good catch. So to me, if that really was the case, then every series would go 6 games minimum, right? And they don't. They go.
Well, if one team is playing that much better, the refs can't even do anything, right? If it's close, you could do something.
Yeah, so I would like to think not. I mean, the Donaghy stuff has always been very compelling, and what he has said since he's gotten caught and done his time, like at that point it doesn't seem like he's got that much incentive to lie about what he's been saying, which is really kind of damning stuff. I would like to think that they clean that up and it doesn't happen anymore. I don't know. I don't think they look at it like that. I mean, I would hope not. And I think it would be a little easier to really discern. But there are certain refs out there that will struggle just anyway, independent of the score or the number of games in the series. So, I guess I'll leave it at that. But, I spend most of my time these days having to defend them because they do make the calls right most of the time as it is. So anyway, so the refs tonight, yeah. Last night I was in a damn party. I didn't get a chance to watch hardly any of the game yet. So I will defer to what your analysis there was. So, all right, we got some more to get to. So let's get to another super chat here. Let's see. Where is Ben? And sorry, we're behind a couple minutes. Sorry about Ben, but here we are. Thank you so much. Really generous super chat. I really, really appreciate it. It really helps us. Lakers' lack of making threes is killing them. For sure, they got outscored by I think like it was 17-10 again last night, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to lose again. That's an 80% winning percentage if you score like 7 or more threes than the other team this year in the regular season. And yeah, you cannot get outscored by that many. And that's the problem is the Lakers are not a good 3-point shooting team.
Yeah, and I mean, and LeBron just hasn't been shooting the ball this whole playoff stretch. He actually made 2 yesterday.
Oh, that's right. He did. But he's still at like under 25%, I think, right? And he's taking 6.
Yeah. He might be way under 25%.
I'm going to tell you right now in a second.
Yeah.
I texted it to somebody earlier today, but my mind is jelly. I was on a plane all day. But I'll tell you in 1 second. I'm looking right now. It was 17-10. So, hey, my mind's still working well on that one from last night. Yeah, it's almost a guaranteed loss. Unless you turn the ball over so many times or something crazy like that. But look at the Nuggets had 5 turnovers last night. 5. And the Lakers more than double that with 12. So you
mean the Nuggets? You mean the Nuggets?
Nuggets. What did I say?
Yeah, I think you said the Lakers had 5.
Nuggets had 5. Lakers had 12. Forgive me.
Right.
And yeah, so there's no way you're winning that game. In fact, it's impressive that it was kind of close until the end because of that. Either way, maybe the referees or whatever you mentioned, but yeah. And then tonight, where did I go? Where are my scores? I'm kind of.
You know why? I think part of the reason they don't get turnovers is that so many people initiate offense for them, so the pressure you never know who's coming up with the ball, so you can never have a game plan for who is initiating offense and pressure them more.
I like that. I like that. And then they take care of the ball, you know.
But I mean, Jamal Murray, you would expect Jamal Murray the way he's in his skill development bag, like handling the basketball, all these moves, he turned the ball over a little bit more. Like that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. He's been, it's weird that like in theory, you're going to say that, that Jokic is the MVP of that team, but like, you know, you got to probably give it to Jamal for the MVP of the conference finals, wouldn't you?
No.
I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna look at let's get to the conference finals. Let's look at all the stats here.
Let me ask you this: if you had to pick one player to sit down and win this next game, who are you sitting down? Jamal Murray or Jokic?
Oh, I mean, yeah, you're gonna sit Murray, but you know, let me throw it out there. Murray is averaging 35 points a game. He's shooting 52% from the field, 45.
He's great.
Three.
He's great
in the conference finals. He's averaging 5.3 assists, less than 2 turnovers, three steals a game. Okay. Jokic, by the way, Jokic's plus minus is slightly better, but you know, he's 27 and he's shooting actually almost the same splits, almost exactly the same splits. It's amazing. Except from the free throw line, he's shooting worse. I mean, for production wise, you probably still got to give it to Jokic, but man, Murray, I can't remember a tag team like that. In conference finals.
I mean, Jokic's impact, even though his stats are great, it goes way beyond the stats with him.
Yeah,
like, everything he does.
Let me get to LeBron James in the 3 games is shooting. Under 16%, and it wouldn't be that bad if he wasn't taking over 6 a game, and that's insane. For anybody taking that many to shoot that poorly, but the whole team is really just, I think, struggling from 3-point percentage right now, right? I mean, let's see here. I mean, nobody. I have everybody in the conference finals, and nobody in the Lakers is even. Oh wait, actually, wait a minute. Anthony Davis is shooting 50% from 3, but he's only taking 1 a game. And then Rui is 50%, but he's only taking 2 a game. So after that, it just drops down. Lonnie Walker is the next guy up there at 40. But again, so there's a little bit of hope there on the 3-point range land thing, but they need more. They need more than they're getting, and it's over. Okay, let's get to another super chat. I think we have at least we have some more. Let me scroll down here. And thanks everybody for being here. Great show tonight so far. I hope you guys are not having to lose too much sleep if you're on the East Coast these days. Let's see here. We got Jay Greedo. Thank you so much. Oh, with the great Beal meme of the really, that meme Bradley Beal when he's looking up. I think that was actually that is footage of a guy heckling him or a kid heckling him in the stands, and he gives him that look, which is actually kind of nice because the kid was being rude and he just gave him that look instead of being angry. Is Tatum still a superstar? Well, we've already talked about what superstar means to me, right? Have we already done that whole thing?
That's what I was going to ask. That's exactly what I was going to ask you. So we're on the same page.
So superstar to me has a big component of marketability. Like, are you in those commercials, those national commercials?
Does your grandma know who that person is a big one?
Yeah. Now you mentioned the potato chip commercial or something like that, right?
Yeah. He's on him, LeBron, and then there's a WNBA player.
Oh yeah. So he's got charisma. He definitely he works that way in that end for me, enough for me to fill that box. And then certainly, most of the time he's not. Well, here's the question: is he consistent enough to be a superstar, or is it too variable? Even in between game or in the game itself, is he too all over the place?
I don't know. Like, I think I have a stricter definition of superstar. Like, obviously, Steph Curry's a superstar. LeBron James is a superstar. Who am I missing here? Who are obvious superstars in the NBA? Like those two.
Yeah, like Luka.
Kevin Durant's definitely a superstar, even though you could say Jokic is better than him at this point.
Giannis, Luka,
yeah. Luka, the thing is he doesn't do commercials, really, right?
You know what? You're right. So he doesn't pass my test. Why doesn't he? I guess he speaks English fine.
Maybe it's I mean, Jokic definitely does it. I mean, Jokic is probably better than a lot of the superstars now, but I mean, he's obviously a superstar level player, but he doesn't. The marketability wise, he's not there.
I think we're gonna if they win the title this year, we're gonna see a commercial with him in the summer. He's got to do one, and I bet you he'd be hilarious. There's something about him. It seems like he'd be funny and have a good sense of humor.
Was Kawhi a superstar?
He did have a couple of those cheesy local commercials in San Antonio. This is where the reason why I bring that up, because we had this argument like years ago about him. Where I think I was like, he's just not. He doesn't have enough of that charisma to get into the superstar level. But he did do a couple, and they did show a little bit enough. But it wasn't. They weren't national commercials. So, although I do feel like he's been in some national commercials in recently.
Andrew says Ja is a superstar.
Ja, that's fascinating.
I mean, he's definitely marketable. I mean, he's definitely box office the way he plays the game.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's marketable now.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't even know. We don't have to get into that whole thing. It was weird.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we don't have to get into
but,
but obviously he's a special talent.
Yeah. Yeah. So there we go. So he's still a superstar. So I guess Greedo already had him in the superstar thing. I think he's still a superstar, but we got to get something from him. He needs to show us, even if they lose in the next game, we got to get something from him that's better. And by the way, it's not fair. He did carry game 7. He carried them for 51 points. And so, we can't forget that he's been building these moments. He's got them and he saved the day in game 6. So, okay. He's still a superstar for sure. And that was Greedo's first super chat. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Greedo. We appreciate you.
All right, let's get to the next one here. This is scrolling. Keep that. Here we go. Andrew Zhu, another. Thank you so much, Andrew. Derek White starting seemed like a panic move. Okay, but they were panicking. I mean, it was a move. They needed to do something. Now the question is, was that the right change? Right, benching Robert Williams again. Robert Williams was getting targeted by Butler, and that was not a good look for them either. So I get it, but Derek, and then they weren't going to do. What did you make of the whole Grant Williams thing? We didn't talk about this.
Oh, I actually wanted to talk about that because I actually heard Bill Simmons' take and J.E. Skeet's take, and I have a take on their takes.
Oh, all right. Well, let's give Skeets a little. Wait, separate shows? Were they together?
No, they were separate shows. I've actually had Skeets on the show way back, so shouts to Skeets.
Yeah.
But Bill Simmons was basically tweeting out that we can't blame this on Grant Williams. Like this is what Jimmy's been doing the whole playoffs. This is what the Heat been doing the whole playoffs. So J.E. Skeets said, Bill Simmons' tweet was, "Tell me you're not a hooper without telling me you're not a hooper." That like anybody who plays ball knows that could get somebody going, right? But on the other hand, I see what J.E. Skeets is saying, but I don't think Bill Simmons was coming from that angle. I think he was saying Celtics fans can't just go blaming Grant Williams. It's almost like a cop out, right? Saying it's Grant Williams' fault. The team just wasn't good enough.
Right. And we're hijacking Andrew Zhu's super chat here to get to Grant Williams. But do
you see what I'm saying with all? Do you see what I'm going where I'm going with all of it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's just finish the
They're basically both right, but go back to Andrew.
Yeah. Because Derek White, he's already kind of proven that he can't guard Jimmy, and then they're not gonna force a switch. If he's guarding Jimmy, he's just an ISO on him, right? And he's gonna pull up and just shoot over him. And he kept doing that. It was kind of I felt bad for Derek White. So that was never going to be the answer. Whatever the answer was going to be in the change in the starting lineup would be something that would help you stop Jimmy. And that was not the answer. So it was they've already had Derek White starting, so it was an easy we'll just go back to that. But that wasn't going to do it. I don't think. And they needed some more tactical stuff to do defensively that they're not trying. It's frustrating. But all right, so let's get back to Grant Williams. So Grant Williams hits a 3. Mad dogs the shit out of him. Whatever. Maybe they don't even call a technical on him or not. Did they call a technical when they got nose to nose or no?
I think it was a double tech.
Okay,
if I'm not mistaken.
If Jimmy had hit one shot on him, okay, maybe whatever. It wasn't his fault. This now, whatever. If Jimmy hit 2 shots on Grant Williams, then okay, well, maybe hey, he's just at everybody. But when you got up to 4 or was it 5 field goals in down the stretch over and over again, then Grant Williams is not that guy. You have to kind of know your place in some degree, and I get it. He wants to fire everybody up. But when you hit that 3 like that and you talk that vociferously to the other guy, not even just a little stare, a little wink or something like that, it was just A, out of place anyway for him. And then B, there is no question that Jimmy was that just turned him on. Because again, they were down, right? The Heat were down by 8.
Yeah. I mean, 2 things could be true. It definitely had an impact, but it's not everything. And I think Jimmy even said it had an impact. He said that, I don't think it's the best idea to talk to me in the post game. And obviously he's right. But
He is right.
on the other hand, it's like that shouldn't be like the Celtics fans just saying he's the only reason why they're losing this game and this series. Like,
Oh, right.
I don't know. It's like there's a lot of reasons why.
Right. Well,
Maybe
I got in trouble on Twitter because I'd said if you have, and I've said this to you on the show, like if you have to play Grant Williams more than 20 some minutes a game, then you're going to be in trouble in Eastern Conference Finals. Then what I had forgotten, and people were pushing back my face, was that he averaged 30 minutes a game last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they won.
No, he was great. He's been great in stretches in the play. Like he was surprised that he surprised me last year.
Listen, I would love to have him as a coach. I'm sure he's an awesome locker room guy. Plays his balls off, plays as hard as he can. Love it. And he can do some things, but he's limited. He's a limited player. And for guys like that, it does feel like, if you are a team that has to, get into 30 minutes in a game, it just seems like then you aren't. There's something here. Who do they beat again last year in the conference finals? Who did the Celtics beat? We don't remember. Anybody? No. Did I lose you? Are you still thinking? I mean, I guess I'm going to tell you right now. They beat in the conference finals. Oh, the Heat. How did we forget? In 7 games, right?
Right.
So I almost want to revisit that to figure out exactly how that happened, how Grant Williams played 30 minutes a game, and they won that series in 7. I mean, because he did play well, but he's not playing really well now, and he's just and then they weren't really giving him normal minutes to perform anyway. So it's a problem. I think we can look at one spot really for the Celtics that's really probably left them down the most, which would be the bench. Sam S has one. Why was ESPN's projection of 3% for the Heat to win the series so off base? They were so off base last year in the finals too. You might remember, even after game 4, they gave the Celtics an 87% chance to win the series, something crazy like that. And I kept screaming into the void on Twitter saying the Warrior starters net rating was like plus 30 something through 4 games. And I'm like, there just doesn't seem to be any way possible that a starting lineup from a team in the finals has a plus 30 as the most played lineup of any team, any lineup on any team would lose a series, or certainly would lose a series early. And it ended up that bore out. That ended up being true, what my point was. So whatever ESPN is doing for their projections sucks. I think that's the answer.
Well, I mean, I do think the Celtics were the overwhelming favorite throughout the whole year. And on top of that, there has been injuries to Vic and Tyler Hero. So I think that probably went into it as well. Yeah,
but they're missing something else. And by the way, I think that projection was still like that after the first game or after the second game. Once you start to realize and get a handle, because I hate, it's hard to do predictions before a series. You really, you know what I mean? There's so many variables and we don't know if it's going to carry over to the next series and whatever. I like to at least look at the first game to really give you an indication of what some adjustments are, what the matchups look like in real time. And so once you get some data in there, there's no way that you could get a projection like that after 1 game or after 2 games. It should be much closer.
Was it that projection before the series?
I feel like I saw one even more recently again. And I think they maybe favored the Celtics in the broadcast. They said it wasn't the Celtics favored to win. I don't know if it was ESPN's projection, but yeah, I don't know. Either way, my experience with all that stuff is usually it's pretty off. So anyhow, so that's what. But they're mixing some stuff together. They're looking at the numbers. I think you're right. I think they tried to sort of prognosticate the absence of Hero. But what we've realized now is that Hero's absence might have made them better. Right?
Yeah, for 2 reasons. On offense, the ball moves better. On defense, they don't have any ducks or guys that you could target now.
I would say it's the defense more, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Because he's good. And he would really help them offensively. But I hear you. And Martin and what's his face? Gabe Vincent don't do what they're doing now if Hero's out there.
One other thing, one of the Heat's issues during the regular season was their shot profile. They shot a lot of mid-range shots, and Hero is a guy who does shoot a lot of mid-range shots, even though he's a great scorer.
Right. So what you're saying now is the mid-range is, well, aside from Jimmy, has gone away, and they're really getting efficient. And
yeah.
I don't blame them. And like I said earlier, like when you try and double Jimmy, and that's the problem is they're not even doubling right. So I shared one. So Marcus Smart, again, the Marcus Smart experience is really frustrating. And I just, at this point, he's not going to be that guy. I don't think you're winning a title with him starting his regard. I think I'm willing to go that far at this point. I think he puts too much of a ceiling, and it's all subtle things too. Aside from the fact that he gets like that horrible offensive foul where he hip checks Lowry in the stands. It was just it was.
Kyle kind of flopped a little bit too.
Yeah, but that was an easy call, and he didn't. The ball was on the right hand. Kyle's coming from the other side. He doesn't need to do that at all. Like that was so dumb. The one I shared that really made me frustrated, and I haven't shared other ones of these. This happens a few times already in the playoffs where he's like doing the fake defensive thing where he's like pointing out and really communicating like whatever. But meanwhile, it's his man that's like getting open. He doesn't even realize where the ball is, what he's supposed to do, and it led to a Strus 3 on top because he doesn't know that like Horford was already coming over because he's like busy gesturing like I'm into it. I'm playing defense, coach. And meanwhile, he doesn't know what's going on. And that stuff drives me nuts.
How long have I been praising Strus, Coach Nick?
You've been on top of Strus since the beginning, as if he's related to you.
I wouldn't go that far, but this guy's going to get paid this offseason. Caleb Martin, too. So shouts to them.
And again, I want to reiterate how excited that I am to see guys like Strus. And by the way, Duncan Robinson, man, he driving and dishing and kicking. And then, the fact that they're
lobs.
Yeah, listen, Bam was just destroying guys everywhere. That one, and the one he missed though was my favorite. It's the one I posted because it's that get action, that pinch post action. And it's Strus is the one who threw it to him. They're so good at throwing and following it back for the handoff. But here's the key, because Rob Williams went flying in the air thinking that he's going to shoot it. He didn't even have to shot fake. He just shows the left-right footwork of a shot. If you can picture that. Going to your right, he went left, right, and just stopped and then threw the pass as he was catching it. That is so powerful because the defense wants to key in on the feet, and that's what got him up in the air. That stuff every coach needs to teach. I had that on Twitter. I showed that. You need to have get action because, again, one of the most important parts of an offense is the ability to run into a catch, run 15 feet into a catch where you can attack while you're moving. And that's a great way to do that is to throw it and follow and come right back for the handoff. And so if you don't have that kind of action in your offense, because my favorite is, again, you'll see Robinson, you'll see Martin, you'll see those guys just pull at Strus, certainly catch it to shoot it when they're open, right? But then they're so good at either getting in the air and then hitting Bam rolling or just bounce passing, pocket passing for the roll to Bam, and then they're off to the races. It's really, really beautiful offense. The Celtics could take a page from that and then run some of that stuff too. But
basically you're talking about flow, and when you catch on the run, when you catch on the downhill, there's better flow. European players do a great job of that. Their offense was always less like triple threat and jab step stuff. Like I feel like they don't teach that as much overseas, and it just had better flow. Like all the players catch on the downhill when they have to.
Oh, absolutely. And again, when you're running into the catch, the defense doesn't have time to catch up. They're already trailing, especially because if you're going to get the handoff, it means you're open, right? Now, my other favorite one is you fake the handoff and you go. We see Draymond do that a lot. Or you can fake the handoff and then flip it around and become like a ball screen on the other one. Or you can hand off, string the dribble out like you can't quite turn the corner, and then that guy hands up, turns around, and sets a screen. And that's kind of what happened with that Smart guy. He got caught up on that Gabe Vincent 3 on the left wing, if you can picture that off the dribble. There's so much action on the two-man game there that you spread the floor on the other side. You should get a good shot. Rich X Wolf is back. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for the even more generous super chat. We really appreciate it. Here's a hot take he has. Ooh. If the Heat beat the Celtics and either win or go game 6-7 with Nuggets and Hero barely plays, but the other guys play really well, would you trade Hero? I would trade Hero.
I would convince Hero to come off the bench.
Again?
Yeah. I think that's his best role.
I would trade him for a backup big man. Right?
It's now like you're the one who always talks about and tells me that like you should trade people when their value is high. You think his value is high now?
Well, he's hurt, so it's not like he's been playing badly. But Hero, let's see. Now I have to go back in my brain and remember how he was playing before he got hurt.
Maybe you let him play half the year before you do it.
Maybe like try and showcase him, I guess, whatever. Wait, now I have to go back. I thought he was playing well this year. He started. And am I forgetting? What am I forgetting about Hero this year?
Um,
Um,
they
no,
obviously, I mean, they did not play as good when he was playing. Not saying that was the only factor, but that's just the truth.
right. I mean, he scored 20 a game. I mean, you know what? I got to go back. He played 67 games. I guess we can look at the record when he played or what his net rating was.
I always said before all this that Strus fit better with their starting lineup than Hero does.
Oh, and I agree. I totally can see that, and for all the reasons that you already stated, and we talk about the movement and that stuff. And you're right. We lost a little bit that the more they rely on him, which was so exciting to see when they got to the finals themselves. Right. That was a little bit of the difference. So,
and I actually think Hero could help them off the bench in this next series. And you know what? As great as they've been playing without Hero, he could raise their ceiling. They could be an even better team if they just integrate him in the right way with what they're doing already.
I mean, I'm looking at his at the summary of the plus minus from the regular season, and he was a huge boost to their offense. They're plus 6.8 on off, and then defensively they were actually better with him on the floor. Believe it or not. That's a noisy stat, but
he can help them.
You'll see
help them in
there.
Yeah.
But but I agree. I don't think he fits as well with what they want to do. And if they can shore up, they got to upgrade Zeller. That's the problem. Although I got to tell you, they went ISO on with him on Derek White guarding him, which is not much because he's got a huge advantage in size. But he hit the shot, and that's how you're really doing badly on the Celtics if they're ISOing for Zeller on the post and he's scoring.
I heard Zeller's a great locker room guy, works really hard.
Oh, he absolutely, I'm sure he is. He is. Talk about limited. He is limited, and he really hurt them in the other game. And they still were able to pull it out. But those minutes were like, yikes. They needed. That was a mistake I think they made in the regular season. They needed to somehow upgrade that position better, and they didn't. They couldn't. I don't know. But
we mentioned Jovic, and he actually did play. It wasn't.
I kind of tuned out with about 8 minutes to go. Does that you got in there?
Yeah.
For a minute.
Yeah, not too much, but. He's very he has a great feel for the game.
Yeah,
he's going to be good.
All right. Well, maybe next year he'll get some more run, and then they'll be better. They'll be better for a team that goes to the NBA Finals. They'll improve without having to add anybody.
Ooh.
So, that's one of those. But just angry. I'm angry. I'm angry that we got a game like that. You can't show up for game 3 down 2-0 on the road like that. If you lose by 10 and it's whatever, okay. But the game was over by the beginning of the fourth quarter. Basically, what was the final? Because they actually Celtics got to 102 points, but the Heat had, I want to say they had 100 points with 7 minutes to go. So they wouldn't have had to score a point for the last 7 or 8 minutes of the game. They would have won anyway, and that's how bad it was.
Yeah. I mean, look, this was a disaster for the Celtics.
Yeah. Now that we're calling for Blake Griffin, Blake ain't gonna. He's not walking through that door. The corpse of Blake Griffin. He's a good cheerleader, though, but he's just not. He
made a cameo in the new White Men Can't Jump. Did you see it?
No. Did it come out?
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
Oh, wait a minute. It's already on Hulu? I thought it was going to be in the theaters.
Watched it today. Was
it in the theaters first?
Might have been.
I mean, they usually do that for Academy Award consideration. You got to be in the theaters for a week or two. But yeah, because it was weird. We talked about the other day. I watched Air on Amazon.
Yeah.
But
I actually saw that in the theater, and I rarely go to the theaters, but I watched that one in the theater.
All right. So what's your review of White Man Can't Jump?
It started off slow, and it's a lot different than the first one. A lot different, but they try and remake some of the scenes, right? But the storyline is a lot different. So I thought it started out slow because you kind of got to realize it's a totally different movie.
Okay.
But I do like it because I think there's there's some good sentiment and emotional aspects of the movie. I think you really learn about the characters and, you could be touched by the storyline. So I thought it was good. Yeah, I thought it was good. It was good. Look, the first one's a classic, so it's hard to compare to that. But I thought it was good. Started off slow, but ended good.
Yeah, I was going through my feelings about the first one, and when it came out because that was my era. And I don't know. Sometimes basketball movies have trouble with the way they cover basketball, the way they film it, and I having been working.
Oh, it got a lot better over the years, though.
Okay, good. I mean, it doesn't always happen that way. For instance, in the Showtime show about the Lakers, they really got creative with the way they covered the action, And I thought that was pretty compelling versus a lot of the movies from back in the day that just they couldn't cover it right, didn't feel real. So I'm anxious to see how they did that there. And I wonder if that was one of my problems, I think, with the original. I think that maybe the Jeopardy stuff sort of was like kind of got silly, I thought, and like way off base for the first one. Even though I'm a huge Jeopardy fan, and I used to be really good at Jeopardy, believe it or not. But it was just, that always just kind of weird, even though they established it early and that was her goal and she wanted to do it. It kind of took a weird turn in the middle of that movie. But yeah, so I will have to watch it. I'm anxious to see. Anybody else in the comments, let us know what you think about the movie. But I think we're getting closer to the end here as we're getting late for you. Anything else we haven't covered?
I think we're there. What do you think about Above the Rim, Coach Nick?
I haven't seen Above the Rim, believe it or not.
You have.
Is it good? Kevin Bacon, right?
No.
Tupac
Shakur.
Oh, what am I thinking? I'm thinking of The Air Up There. Is that where he goes to Africa?
Yeah. No.
Okay, Above the Rim. I don't think I've seen that one either. Uh-oh.
Dwayne Martin. Coach Nick, stop what you're doing right now.
I gotta watch Succession.
Go watch. No, Succession.
But,
go watch Above the Rim.
Right, no, here. This is the movie that you probably haven't seen. Oh, well, it jumped on me. Here it is. This is the movie. Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. Have you seen this?
Yeah, Dr. J. I saw it. That was good.
Okay, yeah. That was my jam growing up. That's a great movie. By the way, a good testament to the notion of chemistry and putting it together a team that would fit together in the locker room more so than even skills.
What's the greatest basketball movie ever?
Hoosiers. Come on now. Hoosiers is a perfect movie.
It's a good movie, but I enjoy like White Men Can't Jump In Above the Rim more. Me personally.
Go in my timeline on YouTube and you'll see a 2 or 3 part breakdown of Hoosiers. I did a while back.
Coach Nick, you have to watch Above the Rim.
Above the Rim. I gotta look at. Let me look at the poster. I can't even picture it for some reason. Above the Rim.
New York City classic.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, it came out when I was like graduated from college. I must have been so busy working that I never got a chance to really see it. But
Regulate was like one of the main songs on it by Warren G and Nate Dogg. Come on.
It's funny because Tupac was in another movie with Janet Jackson around that same time. Or, no, it was a year earlier than that, like maybe 92.
Somebody mentioned Space Jam, so my son watched both of them.
Oh, yeah?
He always goes, Space Jam, the old one, the one with Michael Jordan.
I didn't see the new one. Did you?
Yeah, I watched pretty much most of it with my son, and my son didn't want to finish it. He likes the first one better.
And you know what? Someone's trying to say it's highly overrated, Hoosiers. No, you go watch it again. I've watched it every few years, so there's no question that by the way, Hoop Dreams is for its genre was awesome too.
Oh yeah,
my era. By the way, I played against some of those guys, and it was around that era. That was great. Coach Carter is a good time capsule for like how we shouldn't coach anymore. But if you want to, visit that, there's some good moments in there. And I watched the freaking one with you know what I haven't seen is the new one that came out by the Farrelly brother with Woody Harrelson. I want to see that. But the other one though, oh crap, what was it?
He got Game is great. He got Game is great.
Yeah, He Got Game is really good, and it has a young
Ray Allen, Denzel.
No, the woman, she's in Rent. God damn it, she's Ahsoka. Well, come on, someone's gonna tell me what her name is. She's in everything. Anyway, she was worth watching it for her.
Robert mentioned Pistol Pete is under the radar. I think he's talking about the movie Pistol, which is they kind of show Pete's life young, like in like high school, middle school. That was I like that movie.
Wait, Pistol, is that an old movie?
Yes.
Rosario Dawson, by the way.
Rosario Dawson, yeah.
Yeah, it's by the way, He Got Game's worth it to watch to see hearing it. But at any rate, all right, we have another super chat. A little vamping here. Thank you so much, James Limones. Thank you so much, James. Hey, Coach, what do you think about Coach Missoula telling reporters he's lost the Celtics? What? When did he say that? Is that tonight?
Well, I saw him talking, but there was no volume.
Oh my God! Wait, people in the comments, did you just tell me that in the post-game show while we were doing this thing, Coach Missoula said he lost the Celtics locker room? Somebody tell me that. Yes, that's what happened. Like that wasn't the one we missed like after game 2.
No. Well, I don't
Glory
think
Road
so.
I like too. That is pretty good. No, by the way, I didn't play against Arthur AG or William Gates, but I played in some of those summer leagues against like some other people you would have seen, like, playing alongside them in the background and stuff like that.
Somebody just tweeted Joe Mazzulla didn't say he lost the Celtics locker room. This is what he did say.
Go. Oh, there is an audio.
Yeah.
Lay it on us.
Figure out what this team needs to make sure that they're connected, they're physical, and they're together by the time we step on the floor.
You can cause that disconnect.
Not sure.
Joe, I don't want to say you've lost this team, but is there a disconnect between you and the players at this point?
Wait.
Is there something not quite working that might have worked in February or January that you're not telling them to lose by 28 points, but you're telling them to try? So is there a disconnect?
Yeah, that's where I have to be better, is figure out what this team needs to make sure that they're connected, they're physical, and they're together by the time we step on the floor.
You can cause
Yeah,
that disconnect.
I don't think he said he lost the locker room, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. He's got to figure that out. Wait, there's a couple more hot. You know what? I miss Andrew saying, forgive me. There's another super chat that snuck by me here. Let me find that one. But yeah, so anyway, what do I think about that? You should never ever say that. Certainly in a post game.
I mean, like, as a coach, you are a brand, and that's not good for your brand moving forward for your next job, even if this is not your last job.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, here we go. Sorry, my goodness. Andrew Zhu, thank you. Twitter saying Lakers could have used Westbrook over D'Angelo series. Thoughts? Oh my goodness gracious, no. I mean, D'Angelo, it was as bad as Russ was, at the time. They just need to play with D'Angelo a lot less minutes, if any. I watched game 2, and I thought I couldn't tell who he was playing for. His shot selection was so bad. Honestly, it was like, what are you playing for the Nuggets here? Because every time he touched the ball, he was just throwing up a terrible shot. It was crazy.
Yeah, he hasn't been good. I mean,
his defense has been even worse. But you know what? The whole defense in the Lakers.
I guess one could argue that he's close to being unplayable at some points.
Yeah, no, he is. They need to bench him and not let him play a minute. Right now it's not happening, especially if he's not going to be. The saving grace for him is that he could hit some shots, right? And all the points he's giving up on defense can be mitigated a little bit by his 15, 16, 17 points, whatever. If that's not happening, then forget it.
This sounds a little weird, but I always like guys that could create their own shot effortlessly, because a shot on target is better than a turnover. And when you have more guys like that, it is good. Like, he could always get a shot up. He could always, and he's going to do that before he gets a turnover. I know that sounds like a little crazy, but sometimes you just need guys like that could get a good look up on their own.
Well, keep your eye on this, because he's become that guy, the Nick Young guy, who before you pass it to him, you got to think about it, because you know that he's probably just going to shoot it if you give it to him.
Not as wild as Nick Young.
No, but he's getting there. That was, and what I saw in game 2 was like that. I was like, oh man, you got to really think about this. So, at any rate, all right. Well, listen, I'm hungry. I got to get some food in me before it gets too late. But thank you, everybody. Wonderful show. A ton of people here. We'll try and keep doing this. We'll do it tomorrow. What do you say?
Yeah, let's get it done.
All right, I'm gonna get some good sleep tonight, I think, but I'll get the video out. So stay tuned for that. Watch all my other videos, please. Let's get some more views of those. And thank you all. Too many people to mention individually, but amazing super chats from everybody. Andrew, though, multiple super chats. Thank you so much for that. And let's just do it. We'll thank everybody one more time. Starscream we're celebrating a little an anniversary with him. Andrew, Rich, Martin, Southern, Ben, Greedo, Sam, Rich again, Andrew again, and James. Thank you guys all for super chats. Thank you, Combo, for being here and staying up late with me.
Anytime.
And don't forget, sports fans, the B-Ball Breakdown. We're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Combo?